What is up, everyone? Welcome back to DC Junction. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew in his new office-ish place.
Kind of still a work in progress, but you're set up. That's the important thing. We are here to talk about some DC news, some other important stuff. In the meantime, guys, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Just a heads up, if you missed the announcement, we're recording on Thursdays now, which means Wednesday nights are open, which means Mike's streaming on Wednesdays from now on. So make sure you subscribe and have the bell turned on so you know when that's happening. Make sure you follow us on all the social medias at DC Junction. Let's get into a quick DC news roundup. There's some little bit of smattering things, and we're going to talk about a couple of important anniversaries that happened this week as well. So the first main thing I want to talk about, just because this is really special for me, but for everyone as well, it's news about, and this was kind of been breaking everywhere. Man of Tomorrow has applied and been approved for filming tax credits and things of the like in Cincinnati once again, which means they're going back to the Hall of Justice for Man of Tomorrow. There's also been some shooting locations confirmed for Cleveland as well, which means we're going back there for Metropolis, which means pretty much anytime we're shooting something for DC, for Superman, they're coming back to visit your boy. So I'll have to make sure I'm working down at my Cincinnati office when they start filming for the Hall of Justice again. Because last time it was like the one exterior shot and then everything else was inside. So you know, who's to say? But so but again, it's a nice way of like knowing, like, no, they are moving forward. Like this is no longer wait and see. We are in active production on the DCU, because Supergirl is coming out this year, Lanterns is coming out this year, Clayface is coming out this year, and we're trucking along on Man of Tomorrow. We've been seeing teases for things about like Swamp Thing getting teased here and there, some stuff about Gorilla Grodd. Some stuff maybe. Matt, I mean, you don't live in Ohio, but like, does this mean anything to you?
I mean, it's cool in that like it's consistent. You know, you have to forgive me, guys. I usually have a forward-facing light. I do get sleep. I'm just 52.
I know we're both of us have terrible lighting right now, so it's fine. It is.
But no, I think like, again, what makes some of these things so cool is when it's consistent. Like you said, what does it mean for them to be? Do they really want to be in Connecticut? No, but they have a great location there, so they're going to shoot there every single time Superman or the Justice Gang or whatever it becomes is going to be.
Connecticut, be there.
Ohio, whatever. I thought you said Connecticut.
Cincinnati is the name of the city.
I've been sober for about 20 minutes now. It's kind of freaking me out. Anyway, so all right, Cincinnati. Sorry.
Wow.
The old brain, buddy. Old brain going all over the place.
Thursdays and Matt's off. That's what happens. We record on Thursdays.
But point is like it is really cool when they get consistent when things like this. You know.
Well, it makes it easier from a production standpoint too. It's like you're not having to like reinvent the wheel on how to color correct, animate, hide, disguise certain things. The blueprint's kind of already there. So you can just it saves you the trouble of like, where'd we shoot last time? Well, but we got to restart the whole. It's like, no, we remember what we did last time. Let's do that again.
Yeah. Well, and it also makes me wonder, like, at what point, depending on how successful things get over the next couple of years, at what point do they just go to that building and go like, all right, so we're going to build something over there, and when we're not here shooting, all this stuff goes in there. And then when we come back to shoot, we just pull it all out again.
There is a building in downtown Cincinnati that I drive past. It's right by my office. That it still says Warner Brothers Pictures on the outside. Now, it is not owned by them anymore. It's a building that's just kind of it used to be used for their archiving, and I think they used to do some of their like DVD like production house, production house was over there. It's just kind of gets rented out for office spaces now, but again, like, part of the reason that we're going to Cincinnati, part of the reason that the Hall of Justice was based on the Cincinnati Union Terminal, is there did used to be a branch office for Taft Media there. So that's not to say they couldn't absolutely do something exactly the same, but who knows?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You also think about, like, it reminds me of Lord of the Rings when you watch a lot of those commentaries and DVDs about how excited some of those people were in New Zealand that they were filming there, that they would build a set, and then something would happen. They wouldn't return to the set for 6 months. It would just be in like in a parking lot sitting there for 6
Yeah.
months.
Oh yeah.
And this may be the same thing. Like, hey, what makes people want to come check your place out? If
Yeah.
your place is the Hall of Justice.
It makes me think about, you know, when I think back to the last couple episodes of Peacemaker season 1, when they were like going into the parts from Luthor's ship from the movie, and
Yeah.
they're talking to his buddy. It was like, it's like, yes, this works as just like, oh, we quarantined his tech. This is also, you could also just easily be shooting on the set store, the studio
Yeah.
storage facility right now. Just like,
Mm.
we have those sets in storage. It kind of works to shoot on them in
Yeah.
storage. But yeah, so that's it. So, and that's going to be going into production this year. So that'll be happening fairly soon. Sticking around in the DCU, talking about things coming later. Lanterns. This is just some small smoke, but several social media handles have been getting parked on various platforms all around, with different names and things relating to Lanterns, HBO Max, yada yada yada. Which, as a social media professional, I can tell you is standard operating procedure 101 for we're about to hear some shit.
Yes.
We should be hearing something from Lanterns, I would imagine, in the next month or so. I would say maybe by April, at the latest, if we're parking the social media handles. But that's,
yeah, and it is look, as much as we don't want to lean too much into the social media stuff, there's a reason things are happening.
There is. I mean, this is this is marketing. This is just a marketing play, and it's like, social media is what it is, but there are certain things that happen there. It's like, well, this would only be happening for one reason. That's they're about to start.
You skimmed over it a little. I don't know if we're going to revisit it, but like James Gunn talking about Gorilla Grodd.
I haven't gotten to that part yet. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll wait for that.
No, please. That was the next thing on my list.
I was just say, like, James Gunn does not post about a random character just because he happened to be reading a comic one day.
Right.
He is researching something. Is that for Man of Tomorrow? Are we developing Flash and he's going to be the villain? Who knows?
Well,
it's one of those two things.
We also know that there's been this talk of this Jimmy Olsen project that supposedly is coming from the DCU. That's going to. We've heard rumors that would introduce Gorilla Grodd. And I mean, the reason he brought up Gorilla Grodd, he posted this thing literally 4 hours ago. Just when Gorilla Grodd made his comic debut, he immediately chose violence. His first appearance was in the Flash 106, but he did not in his post say like happy anniversary Gorilla Grodd. Or I'm actually going to look that up right now. When did Gorilla Grodd appear?
Yeah, no, it's random. There's no. He is reading about that character, which is cool. Again, it may be.
Oh yeah, it was
nothing.
It was in May of that year. So we're and again, the smoke has been that Gorilla Grodd was going to be introduced in whatever this Jimmy Olsen limited project is. So
something's happening with that character.
Yeah,
and we just got to wait to see what it is.
But I'm never mad about Gorilla Grodd.
Hey, he was in my Justice League script.
He was in your Justice League script. He was also one of the surprisingly really good parts of Absolute Flash. All right, so shifting into the other side of the DC movie camp a little bit. This is just coming from the Batman 2 side of things. Not a big piece of news, but the writer Mattson Tomlin did speak out about the sequel, where he said, "We worked exceptionally hard to tell a story worthy of the character. Something that feels new and dangerous. The bar couldn't be higher. Looking forward to see people seeing it and being able to talk about it at length. Can't begin to describe what this film means to me." So for me, I just wanted to bring that up just because it's one of those. It's nice to hear the writer's take on. We've heard a lot. Well, not a lot. We've heard what we have heard has all been from either James Gunn or Matt Reeves. So so getting to hear the writer's take on it this time and hearing just a little bit of insight of how seriously they were taking this. This wasn't going to be just a let's hurry up. Clearly not because it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago this week. Or next month, I mean.
Yeah, no kidding.
March of 22. But it was nice. It was nice for me to just hear the writer speak out a little bit of just how passionate and excited he is. And yeah, I mean, it'd be weird if he wasn't. But
yeah,
for a project this size.
No, I look. I'm a writer. I like writers talking. It's correct me if I'm wrong. Do we have confirmation that Sebastian Stan is playing Harvey Dent?
We've heard no confirmation. We have
Okay.
heard no official confirmation about Sebastian Stan or Scarlett Johansson, for that matter.
Or any of the things.
Anything.
Okay.
Nothing
So
has been officially confirmed. Nothing's been denied.
Nothing's been confirmed. Nothing's been denied. So this is where, for me, I'm like, but we still have no clue what this movie's about.
Yeah.
So
not at all.
So we're assuming.
Well, we don't.
Yes.
Yeah, the writers do, obviously.
The writers, that dude who just talked did. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, publicly, like, we still don't know what this is about, but it's cool that he's excited about it.
It is. There's been enough smoke that I think we're probably if we haven't hit the nail on the head, we're probably circling the drain. But yeah. The last piece of just obscure movie news. This wasn't really news. This was just so Emerald Fennell, who is a filmmaker, who was working on the Zatanna movie for a little while for DC, recently came out and said that the film, which was being produced by Warner Bros. And Bad Robot, was ultimately scrapped because the script they came away with was deemed too dark, personal, and demented, diverging too far from the conventional superhero genre. I kind of want to see it all that much more now, to be honest with you. If it's a Zatanna story, like Zatanna's one of it's the magic based ones. You can do that. I don't want Zatanna to be a superhero movie. I want Zatanna to be weird and magical and freaky and dark and wild. I don't know. What about you?
I'm gonna push back a little and say this. I think over the last several years, we've got a lot of these things that are, let's take this concept and make it adult or dark or twist it. And I think maybe we need to be done with that. You know, Zatanna is a cool character that could be like, how cool it be for her to be in a two-hander with Batman. You may not want to do that if you've gone super crazy demented rated R. You know what I mean?
Well, so yeah. I think for me, it's more of just like, I think the idea is there's a happy medium there where it's like you can do a hyper stylized Zatanna movie, but it's still got to be a little comic booky.
Yeah. Well,
a little comic booky.
And let's not forget, look, Blade was as close to, I think, horror as we've gotten in a comic book movie. That was good. Because you have New Mutants, and New Mutants.
No, we didn't. No, didn't. No, New Mutants didn't happen.
You're right. See? Case in point. So, I mean, I only say that just because, I mean, yes, the smidgeness of, but it's also an action movie.
The Hellboy movies, a little bit, you know, like we've had, but you're right. Like, as far as like horror movies go, I mean, yeah, the first Blades, because it's not Blade 2 or 3.
You could have it.
Yeah.
But I think that's where you get to that edge of like I think Hellboy's a good call. Like Zatanna as the Hellboy of the DC universe is awesome.
Well, I mean, that's Constantine and Swamp Thing
in a way, yes. But I mean, having a female-led version of that,
sure,
could be a lot of fun. And I think,
so not to cut you off, but like considering that Emerald Fennell is the director and writer behind Saltburn, and this new, which was that really freaking weird movie from a few years ago with Barry Keoghan that everybody was talking about, that was just like,
oh yes, okay.
Like
I never saw it, but I know.
I did. I watched part of it. And she's also doing that new Wuthering Heights movie with Margot Robbie, which I have heard everyone say is just like, this is weirdly horny.
I mean, the other one I saw was kind of the same.
But either way, it's just kind of like, I'm not doing this as a way to like rag on Emerald Fennell. It's just like kind of curious to me of just like, wow, didn't realize we were that close to it happening, but also just how like out in left field it was really gonna be. You know?
Well, you also have to think about like when they did the Rebirth New 52 stuff with Justice League Dark, they kind of hard left on Zatanna into the, dare I say, skank.
Yeah,
you know,
well, they kind of just made her Constantine's ex.
Yeah,
and that was
even like costume.
No, I'm talking in general, like all of it. Yeah. Like, the costume really got like Like they were trying to get away from the old costume, which I completely understand. The old costume is can be a little dated. I 100% understand wanting to get away from the old costume. What they came up with was not great,
Yeah.
but just the way she was written, it was a lot of times she was
Yeah.
written as just John's whiny ex, and it's like Zatanna's
So
better than that.
yeah. So that's what I'm wondering is if this thing was based on that version, and now
Maybe
you got James Gunn and these things kind of rebooting, and they're like, no, 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 we don't want to touch that version. Let's go back
let's
to this version.
there's
So it makes sense.
yeah, there like the OG version of Zatanna is nothing wrong with it. It like a lot of things in DC, it is a skosh dated, but there's we've seen time and time again, there's a way to take the dated and give it a fresh.
I mean,
You can make it work. You can
yeah,
make it work.
if memory serves, didn't I pitch a Zatanna show like
I
like a
feel
Wednesday
well,
version of Zatanna? I
maybe
think
I
I
think
think I did.
I know
Yeah.
I used her when we were pitching absolute titles. I used
Yes.
her in my absolute Raven.
Yeah.
Speaking of absolute comics, a couple things I wanted to talk about real quick. Number one, Absolute Batman has announced they're going into the Court of Owls this next run. Oh goody, oh goody, oh goody.
Yeah.
Number two, we're getting Absolute Robin. Tom Taylor has confirmed. We're getting, and Scott Snyder confirmed, we're getting Absolute Robin.
I thought it was Rick Grace.
Well, Tom Taylor said we're getting Rick Grayson, which I think he was kidding, but
Yes.
but we're getting Absolute Robin. And then also, and this is an interesting one that just got confirmed like yesterday, which is that we are getting Absolute Green Arrow in May of this year.
Yeah, I thought that was what it was supposed to do.
Well, they hadn't announced the date yet. They had said it was
okay.
coming this year. And then I'm trying to get the name of who the artist is because I had it and then I lost it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm vaguely curious what Absolute Robin is gonna be.
I am too.
I
Well, because Dick Grayson's been teased, technically.
yes. Yes.
Dick Grayson was teased in the first run. Was it the Bane run or was it the Black Mask run?
I think it was a Black Mass run where you saw like the some of the things.
He was faceless. He was like a cab driver or something.
Something
And he had
like
a
that.
name tag that said D Grace and it just said fuck Batman.
Yeah.
Speech bubble. So yeah. So considering the hard left they took with Harley Quinn and Red Hoods and Anarchy, yeah, I don't know what Robin's gonna be like in this.
Yeah.
It might
Is
not
he
be
gonna
Dick Grayson.
well, is he gonna be a sidekick? Or is he gonna be his own dude?
Is
You
he
know?
gonna be Dick Grayson? That's the thing. Because with this Absolute Green Arrow thing, Oliver Queen's dead. We watched
Yeah.
he got killed off in the Absolute Evil one-off.
Yeah.
So is this a Connor Hawk? Is this a Roy Harper? Is this oh god, it was Oliver's daughter's name. Forget. Anyway.
Arrowette? I don't know.
I don't know. Is this a Thea? It could be a Thea
Yeah.
queen, you know. It could be Slade Wilson.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting.
But anyway, so no, I think I'll be interested to see what that does because there is a trend nowadays to age those characters up. So I'll be really curious to see if he's an actual adult or if they keep it like he's a kid. So
I have a feeling my theory is that he might just be another vigilante in Gotham who's like, hey, Batman, don't like the way you're doing it. You know, drama with Bane and Black Mask and everything from these first two runs. So I mean, that could be a rival. He could be like a rival vigilante in Gotham. You know, that could be a power struggle.
and they never did say who that random dude was in the first issue who was working on the punching bag before Bruce Wayne walks up. That could have still been him.
Yeah. I still think that was just the gym owner. I'm still inclined to believe that was absolutely nobody, but these guys aren't ones for loose threads when it comes to the absolutes so far.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I still haven't read any of DCKO yet, but I actually heard it was pretty good.
I'm reading the Batman stuff, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'm also like, I like the different version of future Batman of the various Robins, but
Right.
after this, let's put that to bed for 20 years.
Well, I
I
think
don't need to see that again.
this is one of those like this is for funsies. We're doing this
Yeah.
for funsies. Everyone just have some fun watching comic book
Mm.
characters do crazy comic book character things. This means nothing. This has no weight. Just everyone just have fun. We love when
Yeah.
they do these, and I'm just that's for me. It's like I'm just gonna wait till it's all done. I'm gonna buy the trade. I'm gonna binge it. I'm gonna blow the whole thing in a weekend. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
man, I'm glad I dropped $30 on that. That was so fun.
I'll I'll be I'll be pleasantly surprised if these versions of the Robin Batmans don't end up going the route of oh my gosh, what is Batman's dad's name?
Oh, Thomas Wayne Batman,
Thomas Wayne
where he
Batman.
would just suddenly get, like, spun off in some way. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know about that. Imma be honest with you. I mean, I haven't read it yet, but just from what I've seen, it seems to me like this was very much just a it's kinda like, it's like an Invincible when there's, like, all the different Invincibles.
Yeah.
It's like it just feels like kind of a like, we're just doing this to do it,
Look, all I'm saying is
but
you thought the internet was thirsty about Dick Grayson before. You should have seen people go nuts over older Dick Grayson.
like, oh my god, I can't wait. Well, was it like Absolute Captain Cold where he was just, Daddy Cold for a little bit there, or was he
Well, he's like in his 50s, so he has the
Oh,
gray
so
on the
he's got the
sides.
silver fox
Yes.
uh,
So,
silver
yeah, there was a whole rabbit hole I went down like, "Nope, I need to pull out of this. This is beyond fandom."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's kind of the main. I want to get into our main story. The main story I want to talk about today is we had two big anniversaries this week, and they're both Batman related.
Okay.
One is that Batman himself celebrated his 87th anniversary this year. So happy to Batman. But also, this week marks the 40th anniversary of The Dark Knight Returns from Frank Miller. And so, since this started out as a Batman channel, and with two big Batman anniversaries this week, I thought it would be fun to talk about The Dark Knight Returns
Okay.
and we've talked about The Dark Knight Returns before on this
I
show.
think so,
We've,
yes.
we've we've talked about the animated movie, and I'm sure we've talked about the books. But just, I mean, like, especially because as we've established, Matt's old, so like he obviously, I mean, I was late very to reading that. My dad actually had one of those jumbo print editions,
Okay.
and that was actually how I read it the first time. We moved to South Carolina, was having my dad go through his boxes, and I was pulling out some of those like jumbo print comic books he had, and one of them was The Dark Knight Returns. And so that I first read it in like a big form.
Yeah.
Now I have it on now it's over there. But when did you first come to The Dark Knight Returns?
So, I like, it's kinda weird. It's kinda weird to say this, but, like, there was a time where I just was not a Batman reader. So I would wait for the trades, and I would read the trades. So, I wanna say 'cause Dark Knight's what, 87, 88,
I
maybe
think
86?
I think it's 87. Let me pull that back up.
Yeah, because I remember it coming out when I was in middle school, so maybe it's later. My point is that, um
86.
86, okay. So maybe not. Um, so I just remember that I'm probably a freshman or a sophomore when I finally read it.
Mhm.
But because of, comic book dumb, I knew the general gist of what was happening, like what
Yeah.
it was kind of about, and I'd seen images. So when I first read it, I thought it was really cool, but it was also, I think I probably mentioned this before, is like I think the problem is that story has I don't want to say not aged well, but what that story was at the time is not what it is now.
It's a little dated. It is a skosh dated.
Well,
Uh,
it's like what reading The Last Arkham, like when you read it and you're like, why is
yeah,
Nightwing and Batman treating? Well, back then in until the post crisis, once you get into post crisis storylines, this story is the first one that introduces the idea that Superman and Batman may not vibe. Before then, they were always just best friends and everything was kosher.
'cause
So,
the first time you see Bruce Wayne Batman in this book, he's talking to Gordon, and he's like, "You
yeah,
talking to Dick?" And he's like, I haven't."
yeah.
We don't
So,
know. We don't find out what happened to him until the sequel.
yeah. So I think that's where I think some of the cool surprises in this book are now kind of lost because nowadays Batman, and even though Batman and Superman are best friends, they do have completely different ideologies. And we've seen the death of evil Superman, evil Batman,
Yeah.
storylines where they're constantly going against each other. But this one, it was the first time we ever really, really saw that. So I enjoyed it at the time, but I think like this is one of those weird books. I think the last couple years and I've read it, I've just been like, yeah, I think it's lost it a little,
Uh,
unfortunately. Um,
I mean, and that can happen. I'm not saying you're right
yeah,
or wrong for that. I still get a tremendous amount of enjoyment out of rereading it. And I actually like the animated movie more than Matt does, but even I admit, yes, there are times where it's like, yeah, this, I will say, like, the movie for the most part did an okay job at filtering some of that stuff.
yeah.
Because I mean, it tried. Did you ever? I know you haven't read part three, The Master Race. Did you ever read The Dark Knight Strikes Again, the sequel? No.
No, I've never read. I think this is where Frank Miller started getting annoying to
Well,
me,
and this is
and
and
then
this is what
his
I'm gonna get into is this is kind of like this is the first thing that launches kind of the Frank Miller verse of Batman comics, as we get this plus the two sequels, Dark Knight Strikes Again and Dark Knight 3: The Master Race, which again I actually really like. I actually think it's very, very good. The Dark Knight Strikes Again is a mixed bag. Uh, the art is not good. But I have not read I have not read there's another sequel called The Golden Child I haven't read yet.
okay,
And there was a one-shot prequel called The Last Crusade that takes place 10 years before The Dark Knight Returns. I have not read that. I didn't know that existed until just now. Um, but it's all and we've covered this before, but also just so everyone's aware, if you're not, Batman Year One, All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder are considered to be canon to this, as is Superman Year One, which takes place in the universe of this. Uh,
okay.
I didn't know. That might be some more extended reading for me. I didn't know about the Golden Child or the prequel, and I did not know that Superman Year One existed.
I think I've read that. It's been a bit, but no,
And we all know we love Batman Year One. I've read All Star Batman and Superman, Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, all of one time in my life. I do not remember any of it. Yeah,
this is where Frank Miller starts getting a little too for me. And then, like I said, like you kind of mentioned, when his art starts like he went off and did Sin City,
yeah,
it got real dark and gritty, and I liked it. And
yeah.
then when he came back to Batman, I was like, no, you can leave that stuff
Did
behind
he do the art on the sequel? I want to check that. Let me check that because I don't know if he did. He might not have.
on the two Dark Knight sequels.
Oh, he did. Never mind.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
it's really
I was trying to
obvious.
give him the benefit of the doubt. Oh yeah, yeah. The art on the third one is much better. It's much better. The art on the second one is I do not like. I do not like the art in the second
No,
book at all.
yeah,
But I'm not here to harp on. I don't want to
no,
harp. But when you look at like what the Dark Knight Returns, like just the influence that this
yes,
book has had over 40 years on comics. For me, I say the first time I read it was that Jumbo book, but do you know what my first exposure to this story was?
the cartoon.
Cartoon. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the Legends of the Dark Knight, because I saw that episode and I was like, what the hell? And to me, it was just, oh, these kids are just imagining or making stories
yeah,
up. It didn't, because I didn't know this book existed.
yeah,
So I had no frame of reference. And then when I found this book and I was like, oh, and then
yeah.
I was like, well, now I gotta read
See,
this.
and I'm on the flip. I can remember me and my buddy Jay like going, "We got to go watch this." They
Yeah,
do a Dark Knight segment, and I'm like, "Yeah, we are gonna watch this,"
yeah,
and just like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome!" But yeah, I think you cannot. There is, even though Frank, in my opinion, Frank Miller gets a little weird after a while. I think there's definitely an upgrade to the maturity that he brings to Batman. I think there's a richness of these characters. He's the one that gives us B.A. Gordon. He does that. And I
or
think
being useful.
yes. So I think that's where he does kind of bring it, and that's this graphic novel that does a lot of that. And
Yeah,
this is done. He wrote this before he did year one. So there's things he mentions in this that he then does in year one to kind of set him up.
yeah.
And no, I I think it.
Which is something. I mean, sorry, I mean to catch up.
No,
Which
you're
is
good.
I really think Frank Miller doesn't get enough credit for, regardless of overall execution. The man can world build.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the loose threads are not something he believes in. If you've ever read or just watched the Sin City movies, I mean,
Yeah.
like he is all like he closes the circle. He is very good at closing the circle and setting the rules and the kind of just boundaries for the world that his stories take place in. That is one of my
Yeah.
absolute favorite things about Frank Miller is when I read something he has written, I feel like I'm in this world.
Yeah. And it's really well written. Again, like I think if you ever did it, the animation or you did a live action version of it, you would have to say 1986. Like
Yeah,
place it exactly where it is because the satire side of it only makes sense if it's in the 80s.
yeah.
And which at the time, like I can remember reading it and going like, "Oh gosh, yeah, this is where it's going."
Right.
So
You you almost have to do what Zack Snyder did and just cherry pick elements of it, you know,
yeah, like Watchmen.
to
Yeah.
varying degrees of success. Well, even in BVS,
Yeah.
he cherry picked elements out of that
Yeah.
to varying degrees of success. For like that's what I'm getting at is like specifically with this story. It's like, and but also Chris Nolan did the same thing for The Dark Knight Rises. There are heavy influences from this
Yes.
in that movie between the dialogue and his return. Other than
Yeah.
you swap, a bunch
Bane
of
for the
pictures
mutant
off of
leader.
Bane, and it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I whenever I think to like my preferred, like the things I like most about a good Batman story, it always ends up tracing back to its 7 degrees of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. The things that we tend to associate most commonly with Batman, big, gritty, you know, soldier like focus, um, you know, just contingency plans out the
Yeah.
wazoo. Um, this is kind of what, and even just like the darkness and the grittiness and like you said, Gordon being no slouch.
Yeah.
Gordon is no slouch in the Dark Knight Return or the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
I mean, this truly, I don't think comic book culture today exists without the Dark Knight Returns.
There's a couple books all at that same time that happened that kind of up the ante. This one definitely, I believe, is like one of the early ones. And I think it does. I mean, it brings Batman into the 90s and we see it across the board, all the different titles. We don't get Legends of the Dark Knight, the comic book series, or Shadow of the Bat without this being like hey, look, people do have a hunger for a more serious Batman.
Take
And
the time into account. We don't get Michael Keaton's Batman without this. I mean,
yeah,
really, we don't get gritty because we don't get gritty, dark, you know, bloody, knocking the Joker off the tower of a church.
I don't know. I think of Kevin Smith. Like, I would never read a comic book. Yeah, that explains Batman. So
Fair.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I understand what you're saying.
Maybe not story wise, but tonally. I mean, we don't get what more from a statement of we don't get people taking comic books seriously
We
enough
don't,
to put that kind of effort
yeah,
into a comic book movie.
we don't get a bunch of producers letting Burton do what he did without them
I,
going, look at what's
I
happening in the
don't.
comics.
You cannot tell me Tim Burton didn't read this book before he made that movie, just for the look of Gotham and the feel of Gotham alone. I'm not talking about story. I am just talking about tone. I am just talking about
Yeah,
atmosphere. You cannot tell me this book did not have an influence on it.
I think it did.
Yeah. So I really don't know what else we can possibly say because we've talked about this book a lot, but with it being the anniversary of it this week and Batman's anniversary this week, I mean, it's just nice to once again remind everyone kind of why we're all here in the first place is because of this guy right up here,
Yeah. I would say, like, I would challenge you. I know it's a little older, but if you guys out there are listening and you've never read it or you've only watched the cartoon, do not judge the story by the cartoon. Go read the book. The
Mhm.
book is really there is a lot to it that I still enjoy. It's
Yeah.
just not like some of the other, like, I'll read year 1 every year.
I
I love year 1.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't do that with Dark Knight Returns anymore.
I equate the Dark Knight Returns to kind of like a sort of a Bob Newhart situation. If you go back and listen to Bob Newhart's first comedy album, it's a little hacky and dated and kind of by comedy standards, but at the time it
Yeah.
was groundbreaking. Same with like Blade Runner. If you watch the original Blade Runner now and you've never seen it before, it
Yeah.
can feel a little hacky and cheesy. It was the first one. And so I think this kind of falls into that. It's like, yes, if you read it now and you've never read it before, little dated,
Yeah.
little dated.
A lot of dated.
A lot of dated. It was written during the Cold War, guys. Shit
Yeah.
was weird then. But if you look at it through the lens of where we are now, where we were at before this came about and how we got here where we're at now, it's the writings and
Yeah.
on the page. It's right there on the page. So let us know what you guys think of the Dark Knight Returns down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe on the way down there. It's efficient. I keep burping. Follow us on social media at DC Junction. You can follow me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me across all social media at social media at the Hustle Man.
That is going to do it for here on DC Junction. We'll see you guys again next time there is something DC to talk about.
Bye-bye.